Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Sasquatch Watch Radio with your host, Billy Willard, and the Blog Squatcher. Strap in, hold on tight, get ready, because it is about to go down.
All right, welcome everyone to another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. Today is Monday, August 3rd, 2009. Hopefully I'm coming across loud and clear. This is your host, Billy Willard, and D.B. Donlin will not be with us tonight. He is not able to make it tonight, so I have invited everyone's great and wonderful friend, Mr. Eric Altman in Pennsylvania. How you doing tonight, Eric?
What's up, Billy? How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, not a problem. Not a problem. Wanted to get the host of Beyond the Edge Radio on the air.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
And I apologize for the phone ringing in the background because, you know, that's probably for the kids. They don't ever call me anymore.
Yeah, they do. You're
anyway.
popular.
Yeah, right. The kids are the popular ones. Oh, man. Anyway, typically what we do is ask DB if he had any news, and I'm going to put Eric on the spot and see if he has any news.
Well, the only thing I can tell you is we've got some excitement going on here in the Keystone State. Pennsylvania Bigfoot Society in the last couple of months that we've been following up on, and a few of them seem to be pretty good, good credible witnesses, and in really prime areas with a lot of historical activity that's been reported in the past. So, yeah, things are hopping over here in the Keystone State.
Good. Very good.
Other than that, I don't have any news.
Something. Okay, well, that's good news still, so that's good. All right, well, without further ado, we're going to invite our guest that we have on for tonight. That would be Mr. Cliff Falen of Alabama. How you doing tonight, Cliff?
I'm doing fine, Billy. How about you?
I'm doing just fine. And my understanding is you ain't down in Alabama right now.
That's correct. And I'm actually, you probably just heard a big diesel truck go by. I'm sitting at a Dairy Queen in Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania. I've been traveling all day. I probably covered about 550 miles today. So I haven't had anybody to talk to, so I'm ready to talk, man. I've been by myself. Of course, I talk to myself a lot, you know, but that's not a good conversation there.
Yeah, it's a little hard to have a two-way conversation with yourself, but I don't know, for some people it might be possible.
Yeah,
but,
well, you know, split personalities there sometimes, you know.
Of course, if you sit at that Dairy Queen too long, you're going to want to go in there and get a banana split or something. I
tell you what, I hope they turn the lights out pretty soon, because if they're still open when we get done, I'm getting me some of that M&M Blizzard stuff, you know.
Well, we're glad that you took time out of your obvious busy schedule to be on the show tonight. So I hope it's not too big of an inconvenience for you.
Oh, absolutely not. I'm just delighted to be with you. I appreciate the offer to be on. And I got a lot to talk about. I want to cover several different things. I've been out of the loop for about 6 months since we shut down the Bigfoot Dragnet show. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of trying to get back into it. And I'm a person that's into a lot of different things, and Bigfoot's just one of them. So I go from thing to thing, you know, kind of like lose interest for a while, and I go to something else, and then I'll come back to that thing. So I'm back to Bigfoot here. So.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. So what? I guess my question will be then is what have you been doing the past 6 months?
Well, actually trying to keep quiet about some of the things that I've been doing in the Bigfoot. I haven't gotten out of it totally. I've kind of secretly gone around where I live at, and I'm in the stealth mode, you might say. I'm trying to set up some things that I have come to decide. I've decided that are probably better ways to search for these individual forest dwellers. And I say forest dwellers because I really don't like to, if I call them critters or boogers, it's just teasing. I think that they're more than that. They're more than an animal. So I've actually acquired over the last 6 months approximately 560 acres of private land to do research on in the state of Alabama. And some of some of this is prime hunting territory. So I'm not allowed to be in there during that season, but I can be in there up to that season. There's 300 of it that I'm talking about there, and then after the season I can be in it. So that area is going to be covered in October, and that's kind of what I mentioned to you when I asked you a little bit earlier about your chances of ever getting to Alabama, because I got a lot of area to cover. Then there's a friend of mine that I didn't realize that he's been a friend for 3 or 4 years down here, and he's got 220 acres with several caves on it, and some interesting stories to tell about what he hears back in there. And
cool.
I'm going to cover one story that he told me that's absolutely incredible and almost unbelievable. So I've got to do a little bit more checking on it, but I'm 80% convinced he's telling me the story correctly. And then there's another person with 30 acres, and then another person with 40 acres. And the 40 acres has actually had an incident happen there that I want to talk about tonight too, in regards to Bigfoot. And but before I do that, I'd like to say hi to my family in Alabama, since I'm up here in Pennsylvania, because I've been kind of in not too much communication with them. And so, give me a second here to drink some really good Southern iced tea, okay?
All right. Well, while you're doing that, Eric, I'll check with you. I thought I saw a couple questions already scanning by my eyes here.
Yeah, the first one comes from Kite Squatch, or Alan, and he wants to know, Cliff, has there been any Bigfoot activity around the Fort Rucker or Ozark, Alabama area?
Has there been any activity around what in Ozark?
The Fort Rucker area, or Ozark, Alabama is what he's asking.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm not real concerned about that, because down in that area is where Mike's, and I know he does do some research down there. So I'm not real concerned about down there, and it's too far for me to travel, and it's expensive. So I'm not familiar with that. But northern Alabama is where I concentrate, and to be honest with you, where I'm located there, I think it's got as much activity as southern Alabama, if not more. Now, I don't know if you folks realize it, but military bases, the bigger ones, are a really good habitat for these forest dwellers. And Eglin Air Force Base down in the Panhandle of Florida, I talked to a gentleman. I got to take a vacation and go to New Mexico, and out there at Roswell, we went to the UFO convention. It was a great experience. And I met a man there named Donald Ware, and he was telling me about his Bigfoot experience down there and researching some back in 1988 on Eglin Air Force Base. So that was really cool. And,
wow.
But I don't want to talk about that one tonight. I got other ones. But let me say hi to my family real quick, unless you have another announcement or anything that you need to do.
No, you go ahead and say hello to your family, and then I've got a caller on the line already, believe it or not.
Okay, now that might be my wife. She was going to call in and listen to the show. On her phone. Is it a 256?
And it probably is, because it's got the same area code as yours.
Okay, that's her then. She's just wanting to listen to the show, and I told her, that's how to listen to it. So
okay,
that's
good.
great.
All right.
As long as you listen, honey, I just want to let you know I love you, I miss you, and I really, really am appreciative of my wife. We celebrated 33 years of marriage last Friday.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a long time now.
Congratulations.
Thank you now. And I asked her if she could do another 33, and she said, absolutely not.
Well, goodness sakes, I hope she's not drawing up the papers while you're gone.
Yeah. We'll find out. I'll let you know on next week's show, all right?
Hey, just as long as, but she'll tell you, if you get out of this crazy Bigfoot stuff, you might just last another 33.
Yeah. Oh, and I hope my grandchildren are listening. I want to say hi to Austin. He's my first grandchild, and he's a dreamer, and I just love him to death, and I call him Dreamer. And then my second grandchild is Katie J, and she's Paul's baby girl, just a beautiful blonde-headed, blue-eyed doll that I love to death, and I just want to say hi to her. And then I want to talk to Beowulf. That's my third grandchild. He looks like a blonde-headed, blue-eyed German, from way back before Nordic days, and he's a crazy little kid. I got him on video on my YouTube channel. And if anybody wants to see something really cute, just go and go to YouTube and look for Dancing Monsters. That's what I titled them. So I just want to let them know I love them and say hi to them. So and my wife has let me go on what I'm calling my walkabout. And I've been in and out of Pennsylvania since 1973 when I went to Bible college out in Indiana. Matter of fact, that's where my wife and I met, was Bible college, and we were in the ministry for quite a long time, doing what we thought was the Lord's work. And nowadays, I kind of wonder if it was His or ours. Makes you kind of have second thoughts sometimes of things that happened in your life. But I left here at 73, and I've been back just for a day or two here, and a week maybe at the most. And I love this state. I just love it to death. And honey, thank you for letting me do this. I'm going to be up here for about a month, and I'm going to be able to walk about this state and do whatever it is I want to do. And I really appreciate it, and I love you. So
that's very cool. Very cool.
Yeah,
got a good lady there to let you go running off and spend some time out there.
She's the best. She's beautiful. She's my beautiful little blue dove, is what we call her.
Oh, man.
But anyways, what you want me to start on first, man? Well, I tell you what, let me go ahead and address what we talked about in the pre-show, okay?
Well, I'll tell you what, Cliff. Let me just grab this caller who's on here real quick and let them get their. Well, actually, no. You said that is your wife. It's the same area code, so that's got to be her. I'm sure it is. It's her. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I just want to address the folks in the Alabama Bigfoot website and forum and chat room, and I wanted to put it on public record. There's been a misunderstanding, and I don't really like misunderstandings, and I don't seek for an adversary. I don't seek for somebody to pick a fight with. But through circumstances that I thought were actually spirit leading me, then there was a car next to me starting up, in case you're wondering. I'm probably going to have that for a while here at Dairy Queen, And but through what I thought was things leading me to get together with Hawk and his group, and doing the shows on the black thing, I offended some people. It appears that I offended some people in the forum, in the chat room, and I want to apologize if I have. I know I've offended a couple, and this has been brought to my attention. And I've had some email exchanges that have been posted on my webcam, and I believe they've been posted on the Alabama Bigfoot forum in their blog section. And I hope they've been posted correctly without comment, because that's what I did on mine. Boy, we got a boombox. You hear that thing, man? Oh.
We know you're jamming out there, Cliff.
Oh, yeah. Let me turn this off.
Yeah.
I didn't plan Alabama Bigfoot Forum. Right as I'm talking about them. Oh, good. Whew, my brain can stop shaking. But anyways, I wanted to apologize to anybody that I may have offended by trying to merge with Hawk and his little group of guys that were doing Bigfoot research and mine. Circumstances didn't work out. We never did merge, and that was a result of my Blog Talk radio show. It was not a result of recruiting off of that website. And I love Hawk to death, and I hope he's listening tonight. He is a dear friend. He's a sick man. He really is. I have a lung problem, and I can understand to a point what his lung problem is, but it's a little bit more serious than mine. And we pray for him a lot, and I would encourage anybody listening to us to pray for Hawk. He's one of those hard asses with a soft heart. He really is. And
yeah, Cliff, if I could jump in there real quick. I had the chance to get to know Hawk a little bit back in 1999 when I met him. He and his wife Karen were living in Ohio, and yeah, I got to tell you, Hawk he's always been a friend of mine. He's a real good guy, and I have nothing but good things to say about him. And I want to send my thoughts and prayers out to him during his illness that's going on right now, and hope for a speedy recovery for him.
Yeah, I do. Now, he is starting his show back up, by the way, and I hope he can do it, because there's a lot of talking involved. But I don't know the days and times on that, so I can't tell you that. But I know he's starting it up. And I'll talk about something I have planned for a new show myself later. But I do wish that Hawk does listen to this, and I want him to know that I love him dearly as a friend, and I always have him as a friend. And I'll tell you how he is, and then I'll go on. When we were out on one of our expeditions down there, I wanted to go down to the bottom of the canyon, small canyon that we were in. And it was about a 1.5 mile down walk or so, and I can't breathe. I have asthma and I have dysautonomia, and both of those cause real bad shortness of breath. But on the trip down there, it wasn't too bad. On the way back, coming up the mountainside, it was just awful. I couldn't go 20 feet without stopping, and so I told everybody else, "Go ahead, I'll be up there." Well, everybody did go because I was so slow, but Hawk stayed with me, and I kept saying, "Go, Hawk, go, Hawk." He said, "No, I don't leave nobody in the woods by himself." And I really appreciate it. He walked me out of there, and he took his time and was patient, and I really appreciate that. I'll never forget it. So that's where me and Hawk were at, and that's why I wanted to join up with Hawk. It was no intentional recruiting off of anybody's website. I'm sorry if they believe that. And I apologize if that offended them without them understanding the correct circumstances. And so I don't want to go back on that website. They banned me from it. They know my IP address, which, IP addresses are easy to get. I got his the day after I found out he was playing with mine. It ain't nothing to do. You know how to do that, don't you, Billy?
Oh yeah, it's it's a piece of cake when you when you start messing around with websites and setting up stuff on the internet. That's like that's almost like picking up the phone and dialing a number.
Yeah, that's all it is. No.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, that's addressed, and I want those folks to know I love them, and there's no hard feelings on my side. And I don't want to pick no fight with nobody. There was just some big misunderstanding, and I'm a joker, and sometimes when you write a name, jokes don't come through too good.
It's hard, it's hard. It's hard for people to figure out too. When you are joking. That's a good point you bring up, because I think a lot of times on a lot of these forums, if somebody's fooling around, it's really hard to understand that, because without seeing somebody's facial expression and and hearing them say it, you don't really know they're joking unless you really, really know that person.
Yeah, exactly. And now I am doing some things for myself now that I wasn't going to do, and I am starting my own forum, and I am putting a chat room in there, and I'm not going to expect this to get real big. I don't really care if it does, but it's going to be a second forum and a second chat room for anybody to kick off any other one anywhere in this country or world. So if you want another place to voice your opinion and post your reports or your sightings or I don't care if it's a UFO report. I don't care if it's a ghost report. I don't care if it's a Bigfoot report. You can put anything on there. I'd put a picture of one of these alien creatures in a spaceship handing a baby to a human, and the baby was a Bigfoot baby. I put that. I thought it was cute, you know. I thought it was funny, and I got ragged on that. You know, I got an email saying, "Would you please take that off? That's offensive." I don't mean to be offensive. I like to joke around a lot.
You saw it as a joke, right? Yeah.
But anyways, I do have some things to talk about, and that was one of them, and we got that over with. Thanks for the time, Billy. I really appreciate it, Dan.
No problem.
All right, now, like I mentioned.
All right, before you go to the next story, before it gets too far along, Eric, was there any more questions from the chat room?
All right.
Are you there, Eric?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I'm trying to eat some dinner while the show's going. I got home late from work tonight, so. Ted in the chat room wants to know, Cliff, if you've ever been to the Four Corners area of Elk outside of Marionville.
Okay, now I'm not quite familiar with that. There's some towns that are being named that I'm not real familiar with. The Four Corners area. When you first said that, I thought New Mexico, Utah, Colorado, and Arizona. You know. But I guess there's one in Alabama. No, I haven't. I can't say that I have. Is there a reason that they're asking that? Is there a sighting there? And where is this place at?
That's all basically Ted asked the question room, the chat room.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe they'll...
If it's south of Birmingham, no. I don't know what's going on there now. Really, I don't. Other than things I hear, like that one guy down at the UFO conference. But everything north is easier to access, and some of the eastern part of the north, I don't even know about that. Because I'll be honest with you, in Alabama, in my area, I have enough to do there. I don't really need to go anywhere. You know, there's just so much. I've got them behind my house. They come through there once or twice a week, and we're hearing them all the time, either walking, pushing stuff down, making noises, tree knocking, whatever. They're there, and I don't understand that, to be honest with you. But they're behind my house too. So,
now, have you ever had a sighting of one right behind your house?
Yes, 40 yards from my back door. Yes.
Really?
Yes. And this, I don't know. I told this on my show, but let me tell it again, okay? Because this is really interesting. We have heard them. We heard them back there, and then sometimes we've heard two somethings back there. But this one day, my daughter-in-law, she's a pretty little girl, just as sweet as can be, and I love her. She was out there washing one of their pets, the dog. And my grandson, Austin, the dreamer, he was standing in the doorway. We have one of these double glass doors, one of these French doors downstairs, and sliding doors, you know. And he was just looking at that window, and he was watching Amber wash on. Well, Amber kind of, you know how women are? They feel somebody looking at them more than a guy does. Now, a guy can do that, but not like a lady does. And it's probably because all the guys would always look at them. You know what I mean? They get this, oh, man, somebody look at me. I can tell, you know. And so she kind of stood up and looked around, and she saw some human form had its head around this. We've got this big old, it's an oak tree right there about 40 yards behind us, looking around this oak tree. And my grandson on the inside saw it at the same time. But Amber got kind of scared and nervous and just went back to washing the dog and acting like nothing was really going on. But Austin got all excited, and he opened the door up, and he said, "Amber, somebody's looking at you from the tree," you know. And I thought, oh, my soul, you know, when they told me that. So we went back there, and we found footprints. And at that time, we have a brook that runs through there. So it was dried up, but it was still wet enough, moist enough on the ground to where there was a footprint, very noticeable. And I have a video of that we took. I had it on my webcam, but that page is not accessible right now. We videoed that footprint, and we tried to cast it, but it wasn't deep enough. We didn't get anything off of it. And we saw there were footprints beside the tree. There were also footprints where it walked up to the tree and walked down, but there were so many leaves there, it was really hard to distinguish. And there was some sliding that was going on, on the leaves. So. Right. But, yeah, we saw one right in our house. Well, I didn't, but my grandson and my daughter-in-law did see that one. And she said that when she saw it and put her head down, she was still kind of looking at it, and at the same time Lawson opened the door, and she saw it just back away into the darkness of the woods, and then it was gone. She said she didn't even hear it walking away. So, right. That's spooky.
Very, very interesting. Very interesting. Eric, I've seen a ton of questions in there. He's eating still. Eric, are you still eating?
I'm here. I had myself on mute so you guys wouldn't hear me typing and writing down all these questions and stuff. I know it can be distracting, but Bill Green wants to know, Cliff, are you currently investigating any recent sightings, footprints, screams, possible Bigfoot footage?
Yes. Well, now, I don't have any footage, and I've been wanting to talk about this Gable film tonight, and I hope we can get to that. But I have two sightings that I have that I'm very interested in that are just within miles of my house. And I'll go ahead and tell you the one story. And this gentleman, he owns 40 acres, and excuse me, but this must be the local hangout, because this is a little town here. I think I'm in the cruising spot.
Well, Cliff, being from Pennsylvania, I can tell you, yeah, it is the local hangout of there.
All right. But anyways, this gentleman's name is Randall, and he's kind of semi-retired. He's about my age. He owned a gas station, and he sold it, and he's been semi-retired. He just lost a son a few years ago, and that was really hard for him to get over, and I couldn't even talk to him during that period of time. It was just awful. It was a four-wheeler accident his son got killed on. So, it's been a very kind of a touch-and-go relationship with Randall. But one day I saw him in a restaurant. He was eating breakfast, and I come in to get something. And we started to talking, and I said, well, are you hunting any this year, Randall? And he said, oh, yeah. He said, I got me 40 acres I bought a year or two ago down there, and he was telling me about it. And I said, okay, I'm going to ask him, I'm going to ask him if he's heard anything strange or saw anything unusual, So I said, Randall, let me ask you something. He said, okay. I said, have you, when you're out hunting, have you heard any sounds that aren't normal for the woods, that what we think is normal, or have you seen anything that's out of the normal? And he looked at me and got big eyes and grinned. He said, like, what are you talking about? And I said, anything. I just, anything. He says, like, Bigfoot. I said, well, yeah, kind of, sort of, yeah. He said, well, I'll tell you something that happened to me last December, and this was just this past December. And we have camped down there since then. We've done some investigating and all. We have found footprints down there, by the way, since then. Right. But he bow hunts. He doesn't rifle hunt. He'll bow hunt all year long, and he's got, it's just beautiful the way he's got it set up. I mean, he's got tree stands everywhere. He's got hunting houses that he can sit in, and he's got 3 of those, and he's got about 6 tree stands. So he can go from spot to spot. He's got a bunch of green fields. He just got it set up nice. And so one of his tree stands, to me, it looks dangerous. I mean, that thing's 30 feet in the air, and it doesn't look like that tree's but a foot in diameter way up there. And I can see him going back and forth, with the wind blowing him and all. So he's a lot braver than I am. Which if I got up there, that thing would be bowed over to the ground,
Yeah, it'd be me.
Yeah. So he said I was up there. He said, I've got a dog that I've trained to run deer, And he says, and I brought it with me, and I let it out, and I climbed up the tree and sat down. He says, and unfortunately, the neighbor's dog followed them, and it was tagging along with his dog, and he didn't care for that, but he didn't stop it. And they went down, where he's at is up on a small hill, and about 100 yards down, you're going down another 50 or 60 feet in elevation down there, but it's 100 yards down. And there's a creek down there, and I can't remember the name of the creek. It runs pretty good. It's a pretty big one. And I'll give you a little hint. This is exactly 1.3 miles from where the Blackfing's home is at, where we did our expedition. And this is the 40 acres I was telling you about. That's why I'm so excited about being at this place right now, because I think, I'm not going to tell you the name of this other place that I'm getting into, because this is really prime territory, and I don't want to give it away. But it's another, on the other side of it, it's about another mile to a certain something that has caves and the whole works in there. And so I think it's really a prime area. This fall, I think it's going to produce some good sounds and hopefully good footprints and pictures. I'm working on some video, some ways I want to video things that I think I might be able to get some pictures. But you never know. These things are so smart. You never know what you're going to get. But he's sitting up in his tree, and the dogs ran down that hill. And he says about 5 or 10 seconds after they got down to the bottom, he heard the most god-awful screaming and noise going carrying on, and it sounded like trees falling over and everything. And he said just a few seconds after that, both dogs, tails tucked between their legs, come running up that hill, headed for home. Man, they were gone. He said it sent chills down his back because it was so scary sounding. He said, I have no idea what that is. So right away, we jumped in his truck and went down to his field, and he showed me all the area. I found a footprint that day. It wasn't very new at all, but it was pretty noticeable. And been down there another time camping and scouting around, and I found some more. My son and I did. And so, you know, that's an exciting area, and we have permission from him to any time we want. We can camp there. We could camp there for months, and he wouldn't care. So that's really cool. So that's a really good sighting. I mean, I'm within 10 miles of my house with that one.
That's convenient. That's convenient when you're, you know, that close to home, and you can get out there pretty much at the drop of a hat. You know.
Yeah.
That's ideal. That's ideal.
Well, listen, I want to see if there's any more questions. I'd like to answer them if I could.
I think Eric's probably got a whole load of them. I've been seeing questions pop up across this chat room like crazy.
Well, the first
what do you got, Eric?
The first one comes from Mr. Henry May. He wants to know, Cliff, what is your theory of wood knocking regarding the possibility of wood knocking being caused by jaw popping or perhaps a chest cavity?
Wood knocking being caused by jaw popping or chest beating?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't think that the wood knocking that I've heard could possibly come from chest beating or jaw popping. It's just been too distinctive. Behind my house, I was lying in bed one night, and had I've got an old amplifier system that I can hook a microphone to, put it out my bathroom window, and run it all the way into the bedroom and lay in bed and listen to outside. And I was laying there, and one night, I couldn't believe what I heard, man. I'm lying there, and it's about 10:20, and I hear this big limb snap, you know, and I think, well, the tree just fell over or something, you know. And then after that snap, I heard a very distinctive 3 knocks on another tree. I'm going, whoa, dude. And I waited and I listened. And just, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds later, there was another knock in the distance that was faint, but was just 1 knock. So I think that this is a communication saying, I'm over here, you got anything over there? And maybe 1 knock is yes, or maybe 1 knock is no. You know, they have their own form of communication. And so I don't think that's the case. Now, I would love to hear some chest beating. I mean, that's got to sound awesome. I mean, that's got to be close to a tree knot, you know. I would love to hear that. And another time we were, my son, I don't know, he's like a Bigfoot magnet. And I think these things got our number because after we saw them, we lived in this spot since 1994, and we never heard anything, paid attention to anything in the woods, never were afraid to go in the woods. Now I can't let my kids near the woods, my grandkids, my daughters, anybody. You know, you don't go in there without us. And we go in with guns now. I mean, we go in without guns. You know, not that I want to go kill one. I just don't want to get killed. And I need to protect myself and anybody with me. So, but for all those years from 1994 to 2006, we didn't notice a thing. But in 2006, when we had our experience down on the lake, a certain part, then it was like the next few nights they're behind our house, and I'm thinking, you know, are we nuts? You know, what's going on here? You know, did they follow us home? You know,
right.
How many of these things are there? We're asking, you know, and ever since then we've heard them constantly. This thing is not a game with us. I'm really concerned about some things with these fellows in the woods. First off, is spiritual. I'm really concerned because we're taught about salvation and the salvation of our souls, but here we have possible humanoids running around in the woods, and they've got to have souls too, as intelligent as they are. And I'm just, in my mind, it's kind of like turned my religious world upside down because I feel like Jesus forgot somebody. You know, You never hear any mention of them. You know, and for me to say that, I hope Christians don't get up in the air. Come on, think about it, you know. Did he or didn't he forget somebody? Are they animal or are they human? I think I think we deserve to know, to be honest with you. I think that the truth should be told by somebody. We got to find out somewhere. But anyways, those were the experiences behind the house, and if there's any more questions, I'll try to answer them.
Go ahead, Eric.
That's all I've seen so far. There's been some kidding around in the chat room, but no serious questions so far other than what Henry and Bill have asked.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure that I know Cliff says he's got plenty of other stories.
Yeah.
So we'll let you get into one of those, Cliff, and
right.
and then here in a few minutes when you finish it, we'll let you have a little rest and maybe drink some more of your tea.
All right.
We'll go to a quick commercial and let you have a couple minutes.
All right. Well, then I'll tell the next Bigfoot story that I'm looking into, and then we'll do commercial, and then I'll go into the Gable film that I want to talk about so bad, if you don't mind. All right.
That'll be fun.
This one happened close to home, too. And this is the gentleman that I have had as a friend for a long time with the 220 acres. It has 2 or 3 caves on it, and he's hearing things down in there. And but this is not there. This incident did not happen there. It was a friend of his that told him what happened. So this is a secondhand story. And this friend is really hard to get a hold of because he works out of state, and he's out for sometimes 2-3 months at a time. And so to get him is really hard. And but he's got something that if I can get my hands on it, it's in a safe place. He's got something that might produce some good, solid, factual evidence, and I'll tell you about that as we talk about the story. But when I talked to this guy, I was talking Bigfoot to him and telling him a few things, and I asked him, you know, does this sound strange to you? Have you ever heard anything about this? You know, because I never talked Bigfoot to this man. And he said, oh, no, he says, I just was talking to so-and-so, his friend of his, and he said that he had an experience like that last October. Now, we're talking this past October of 2008, and it's probably about the same time we were up there camping and getting hoaxed. No, that was 2008. I don't know, but it was in October of 2008 that this incident took place. And now what this is when you harvest down here, you know, like a cornfield or beef field, you know, your harvest is over. So these guys, they harvested a bean field, I think it was, some kind of bean in there. And they're farmers, two friends, and they're duck hunters. Now, they got a big creek right there that comes across that property, and a dirt road that goes way back in where this field's at that they harvested. And I think the road's about 2.5 miles deep into these woods, and this one field's way back there. So they have one of these big machines that they take and pump water out of this creek and flood this field to try to attract some ducks. And I don't know how successful they are, but that's what they do. And apparently they get something because they do it every year.
Right.
Well, after this story, they're not doing it anymore, is what they said. So, I think that's funny once you hear the story. But the story is this: they were down there with this machine, and this thing weighs. It's a big diesel engine, and it has like a 6-inch diameter pipe coming out of it. That's some kind of metal combination, something else material. And it goes into the water, and this diesel engine runs the pump, and it pumps 500 gallons of water per minute. So this thing's awesome. I mean, if you're going to flood a field, this is the thing to do it with. And they have to tow it with their truck. So they back it up to within about 30 yards because they had 40 or 50 yards of this pipe, and they didn't want to get too close to the creek, is my understanding. And they disconnected from the truck because they're gonna take off and leave it sit there for a while and then come back and turn it off for the night or something like that. And so it's disconnected from the truck. And they're doing their thing, getting it ready, and then they fire this thing up, and diesels are loud. I mean, I hate to drive a diesel truck because they get loud. You can't order your Dairy Queen Blizzard ice cream cup, in a diesel truck. You got to turn it off to be heard,
Yeah.
So they had this thing running, and they're yelling at each other, and there's I don't know how many minutes went by, but all of a sudden, this machine, which probably weighs 1,500 to 2,000 pounds, maybe more, all of a sudden it starts going backwards, and it's got its wheels chocked, and they're like freaking out. What's going on? What's going on? And the one guy runs to the truck and jumps in, and he's trying to get back up to hook up to it to get it to stop going backwards, and the other guy's jumping on the bumper of the truck, and so he could jump on the trailer hitch that it's on to try and push it down on a ball, and but it's like every so often it just scoots backwards, and it did this 3 times on them, and so they finally got it hooked, and the one guy was in the bed of the truck, and the other guy driving, he just took off and started dragging his machine down this dirt road, and this pipe, this 30, 40-yard pipe that they had is flapping in the wind, and they went about 1.5 miles away from that creek, and then they stopped, and I'm getting cotton mouth, so I'm going to take a quick drink here.
You've been steady going. We'll
Yeah.
let you have a couple-minute break here in a little bit.
Okay. But they're finally stopped, and they get out to collect the hose, and they pull it all up to the thing, and the last 6 or 7 feet of it is what's very interesting. There's 3 sections on this pipe that are smashed down. Like if we had a vacuum hose and we were pulling on it, we would smash it.
Uh-huh.
And there's 3 sections on this pipe that are smashed down, and there were 3 times that the machine was moving on them, and they figure that this machine moved about 20 yards with 3 pulls. Now,
wow.
The machine moved 20 yards with 3 pulls with 2 chocks behind the back wheels, and whatever was pulling that thing had to have been big,
And I assume the stock, were the scotches still in place, and was there like where it had scraped up? Was it on soil, asphalt, gravel?
It was on. I don't know about gravel. I know it's just a dirt road.
Okay.
Part of it gravel.
Right.
But I don't know if it's all gravel all the way back. And,
right.
So what they did is they cut off that section, and they cut off the nozzle that was on the end. And that particular section is in a particular place, this guy put it away to keep it. And I'm really itching to get a hold of that to do some forensic work on it. To try and I have a nephew. Is in forensics over in South Carolina, and once I get a hold of this, I'm going to get a hold of him and see if I ship it to him, if he can find anything on it. And I'm hoping the thing cut its hand or something, maybe left some fingerprints, But it's in a safe place, and I know where it's at. I just got to get my hands on it, and as soon as I get hold of that guy. Because, to be honest with you, my friend's not telling me exactly where he lives at. Now, I know where the field's at, the creek's at, and all that, but I don't know where he lives. So, so that's the story.
Okay, cool. That was cool. All right, well, what we'll do now is we'll give you a couple-minute break.
All right.
And we'll slip off to a quick commercial, and then when we come back, then we will let you get into. I'll tell you what, what in the world? Somebody's going to mess with my thing here. Here it is. All right, so we'll let you have a couple-minute break, Cliff, and then when we come back, we'll let you get into some more of your story.
Okay.
Sasquatch Watch Radio. Stay tuned.
Paranormal Talk Radio, bi-monthly, Wednesday nights, 8 to 9 p.m. Central. Paranormal Talk Radio divas Melissa Hovey and Monica Rollins, never afraid to tell it like it is. Too hot for prime time. 60 minutes of take no shit, grab you by the balls. Paranormal Talk Radio. 8 to 9 p.m. Central, every other Wednesday night on Blog Talk Radio. Paranormal Talk Radio with an attitude.
All right, Cliff. Well, I hope that gave you enough time there to wet your whistle a little bit with some of that good old Southern tea.
Mm-hmm. Had it in my mouth.
Let me ask Eric real quick and make sure that Eric didn't have any other questions come along in the chat there, Eric, or if Eric's got a question for that matter.
All right.
No, I'm just kind of sitting back, relaxing, enjoying the show tonight, watching the chat room roll by. Haven't seen any questions yet. Still looking. Folks, if you want to ask a question tonight, please put it in caps so we can pick it out of the typical chat room banter that's going on. So feel free to ask away.
Yep, and then, of course, if you want to call in and ask your question live, you can do that as well. The call-in number is 347-237-5070. Again, it's 347-237-5070. Otherwise, we'll get right on back to Cliff and some of these great stories he's got.
All righty. Listen, I'm going to have to go back to my family for a minute because I forgot to say hi to my son, Corey, and my daughter, Jenny, and my daughter, Angela. And if I don't say hi to them, I'm going to hear about it. Or you talk about the grandkids. No, so, I've got two beautiful daughters and a very handsome young man for a son, and his beautiful wife is a daughter-in-law. So I just make sure they know I said hi to them.
Well, I'm sure your wife will pass that along.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. You keep my butt out of trouble. And but listen, like I was talking to you earlier before we got on the air that this Gable film is something new to me in the last week at least. And I have been out of the loop as far as what's happening in other areas, even in Alabama, by the questions you can tell I wasn't able to answer. But I've not been out of the loop in my own area. I've been doing my own thing, kind of secluded and secretive. But when I got an email from Autumn Williams' Oregon Bigfoot websites, I'm on the list there for newsletter. She was talking about the Gable film, and that I never heard of that, so I went and Googled it and found it, and I was blown away. I mean, oh man, there's not enough to say about that film now. Because I'm 56, and I remember that time frame quite well. So there's a lot of things that I'm seeing that are genuine, and they're very genuine. And if they're fake, if it's a hoax, these people are my age because they knew some things to put in this film. And and for some reason, I feel like, and I'm not, folks, don't take this wrong, I'm not psychic, but I feel like I have some kind of connection there for some reason. I think I've figured this man out, and it is a male, and I'm going to prove that, I believe, to a lot of folks tonight. There's always going to be somebody skeptical, and a lot of folks, what I'm hearing is they think it's a female. Things like, well, look at the hair. You know, I saw breasts there when they're working on the truck, and look at the little wrist, the chubby arms and the little wrists. Well, guys are chubby too, and guys have man tits, you know what I mean? So seeing a breast is not that big a deal.
Some of us more than others.
Yeah, I'm a double D myself. So, yeah, so seeing a breast is not that big a deal. It doesn't mean it's a woman, especially when the woman's got the shirt open to the navel. You tell me a woman going to work on a truck with a shirt open to the navel, and it's going to happen, unless, she just flat out don't care. She's butch or something. So I wanted to start at the beginning of that film. I posted a blog on my web jam, and I talked about the end of the film from where they worked on the truck to the end of the film. And I listed some things there, and I'm going to go and redo that and probably do it a little bit better and show a little bit better points of interest here and there. But after I studied the end of the film, I went back to the first of the film, and I have viewed this thing probably 100 times, and I don't have my AVS video editor in this laptop of mine, and my PC crashed, so that's where my AVS video editor was at. And that can go still frame by frame, so I would have had a better idea of what I was looking at had I had a frame-by-frame editor. But I went ahead and did a stop-start on that, pause button and play button. And I looked the best I could what I thought would be equivalent to frame-by-frame, and I did this over and over and over. And I was wanting to get a feel for this man and what was happening in his life, what was happening in the other person's life, the camera person, what was happening in both of the lives. There was only two people and the dog. Now, at the beginning of the film, somebody, if they hoaxed this, put a lot of investment into two very authentic-looking, antiquated snowmobiles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? This is no snowmobile that James Bond wants to ride. You know what I mean? I don't know if you've watched it. You know, the thing's clumsy. It's ugly. The snow was soft. It was going sideways. They had trouble maneuvering it. These were authentic snowmobiles. This was an authentic snow that it was on, you know. So everything with this film to me is authentic. And if it's proven to be a hoax, I am going to be shocked. I really am. Now, there were two snowmobiles used, and then one kid was driving both snowmobiles. And I say kid because of later on I'm going to talk about something else. And then I believe the gentleman was filming his son riding those snowmobiles. Now, let's go ahead and establish the fact that this is Aaron Abel and his son and a dog.
Right.
Rin Tin Tin, let's call him. So it's a really, might be a situation where his son was over for visitation. Maybe he was divorced, you know, or maybe mom had passed away and they were alone, you know. But I believe it's a dad and his son and Rin Tin Tin. Now, after the snowmobile shots, and you look at part two, the part two video, the terrain is a lot like what you see in the snowmobile shots. Now, I don't think it's the exact same terrain, but it is the same type of terrain. I don't think it's very far away, and I'll tell you why in a second if I don't run out of time. How are we looking on time anyways?
Oh, we're good on time. You still got a half an hour.
Oh, good. I'll try to get it all in then. All right, now we're past the snowmobiles, and see, okay, no, we're not. Let's back up. There's a time when he's got the camera and he's riding the snowmobiles. Okay, one of the snowmobiles, the yellow one, and there's, you know, it's bobbing and weaving. He's trying to picture something. Okay, he's trying to photo something, and all of a sudden you see pictures of the woods. You know, okay, stop and think. Why? Why is this man on a snowmobile apparently chasing something, taking a picture of the woods? Okay,
all right.
So just think about that for a minute, and then after all that, there's the dog, and the son riding a bicycle with Rin Tin Tin running around, and Dad apparently photographing them again. Now the son comes, he kind of disappears on the bike. I don't know where he goes, but the dog, he's focusing on the dog, and it's just walking around, playing around, and all of a sudden it comes to the side of the road and it looks into the woods. It stops and looks into the woods. Mm-hmm. Think for a minute. Why did Aaron pan to the woods? He took that camera and looked into the woods to see what the dog was looking at. All right? Think about that for a minute. You know, am I establishing anything in your mind, Billy? Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yep.
Okay. Now, the after that scene is the truck scene where he's fixing it. Now, I can't tell, to be honest with you, if that's on the road or in his driveway. So I'm going to assume that it's on the road and they may have broken down. You know, because that's probably 78, 79, 80, somewhere in that range. I don't know if they put a real time on that, real year on it, but it's in that range. And the truck was old in that day. Okay, so I know about these trucks. You got butterflies in the carburetor that can mess up on you. The chokes can mess up, and you got to get out there. Maybe you had it jerry rigged, and you got to fix your jerry rig because it come apart.
Or for all we know, it was so cold out there that the fuel froze up, had a little water in it.
Yeah. Now, okay, another thing too. Let me stop and say this before I go any further, because we're right up to where we're fixing the truck now. This camera we're seeing out different days and different times of days, but it's all daytime, and there's different shots. So the camera is an old Kodak 8mm, and back then you didn't I mean, our digitals today, we take them home and download them into the computer, and we could start editing. Back then, you had to use this roll of film up. So this could have been over a period of a week that these shots were taken. Right. And, you know, the one shirt was a different color than the other shirt, and it had its sleeves off. So, you know, we got a red shirt and a blue shirt.
Right.
Now, I passed up on the wood chopping because to me, that was a man wood chopping. He was just a little bit chubby, and his hair was a little bit longer than the hair in the part two video, and there may be a reason for that. We'll cover when we get there. But I just wanted to mention that camera and the way that things happened back then is that you had to take shots and then stop it. So you had a lot of this spotty stop and go filming going on with those 8mm back then. So I'm going to cover one more thing, and then I'm going to stop at the end and tell you something that is an observation you might be really interested in. But we're fixing the truck now, and he's down there fixing the truck. Now, I don't know if anybody's noticed Ren 1010 or not, but Ren 1010 comes sneaking, and he looks under the truck, still as can be, and I'll swear that the hair on the back of his neck is up. I have looked and looked and looked. It's so fuzzy you can't tell, and it could be the fuzz. But I just got this feeling, and there's one little part there that looks like it's hair, and I just think that hair was up, and that dog was seeing something. And then the boy noticed the dog. He's filming Dad fixing the truck. The dog comes up, looks under the truck, sees something, and the boy sees the dog looking. All right, this alerted the boy to something. He starts showing Dad. Ren 1010's looking. Ren 1010's looking. You know, just saying something. Right. It irritates Dad. Dad throws his arms out and says, "What?" You know? And I think that's the scenario there. Now, I don't know, Billy. Do you think that's a possibility? I mean,
sure. I mean, sure, it's a possibility.
All right. So Ren 1010's standing there, looking at something. Now, I think this is my observation. What I think. Okay, go ahead, Eric. Somebody there?
I don't know. Was it Eric? Did you say something?
I'm not saying a word. I'm sitting here watching the chat room.
Oh, okay.
I thought I heard
Wasn't
something.
Me.
That's all right. Okay. All right. Ren 1010's staring. All right. Here's my observation. From the beginning with the snowmobiles to Ren 1010 staring, we got some events taking place, and I believe now I'm really stepping out on a limb, and I know it. People are going to probably pick me apart for this, but that's okay. That's part of the game. You know, that's part of the research. You folks go and view this film after we're done with this, and see if you don't see what I'm telling you about. But I think that this man and this boy and this dog know that there's a creature around their house, and they've seen it. And I believe he bought this camera to film it. And I believe the boy was enamored by the camera because it was relatively new, and he was wanting to take shots, and Dad was wanting to take shots of him. But he jumped on a snowmobile and went out there and filmed the woods. Now, why did he do that? You know, you got to wonder why. There's nothing out there. There's one little thing that looks like a man standing there, but I can't tell. But there's nothing there unless you really have some good editing software and we find something. But he was looking for something. Now, okay, let's go back to Ren 1010 staring. He's staring in toward the left as you're looking at the film. He's staring toward the left, the same direction that your truck's going. So I know when you assume something, you make an ass out of yourself and somebody else, you know. And I'm going to go ahead and assume that the truck continued on in the same direction. Okay, and if it was in a driveway, it went out the driveway and continued on to find whatever the dog saw. So it went in a direction looking for something. The boy is in the passenger seat because when you're going down there and you see the picture of somebody in that window, that is a boy. And when you look at it, he's about 12, plus or minus a year, somewhere in that range. And now, when you slow it down and you see the door opening up, you're thinking, well, the boy's getting out chasing that Bigfoot, chasing that creature out there. But I don't think it was a boy. I think it was Aaron. Aaron come running around and stopped. I would stop my son. I would not allow him to go out there. And so he come around and grabbed that camera, and I believe if he was smart, he told the boy to stay in the truck. Okay?
Right.
Now, maybe they were so excited he didn't think to tell him that, and the boy followed. I mean, that's just a big possibility. So, but I would tell my boy to stay in the truck. Don't you come out here. Now, all of a sudden we got stop and go again on the video, and this is him running through the woods. Now, there's been some criticism. On part 2, he's way back in there, and on part 1, you see this creature right by the highway. Well, come on, man. He ran back into the woods. It was a stop and start. This might have been a trigger-activated camera, and he could easily turn it off by lifting his finger. Maybe there's just an on and off button that could do the same thing. But somehow he was going on and off with this, taking different pictures. Sometimes he was walking. Other times he was running. So sometimes he was looking for it. Sometimes he saw it, and he was trying to get a better picture, is what I'm seeing from this film. And when he finally saw it, I think he realized, oh, shit, I'm in deep doo-doo,
Right.
And he froze and tried to get pictures there. And now, there's several different things you can think there. One, the boy was with him. One, they had a rifle. The dog followed them. All kinds of different scenarios could have played out. But this creature was mad. I think he was mad from the get-go because they stopped the truck, got out of the truck, chased it through the woods, and it finally said, I've had enough.
Right.
I've got lunch delivered to my door today, And
right.
Yeah. And so I think Aaron, if the boy was with him and he saw it move that first time, that he probably said, run. Right? And that's probably what triggered this thing to run at him. Because let's say the dog and the boy and the man's there, and there's 3 things to chase. All right, so this thing's coming out, it's like kind of zigzagging. It actually leaves the ground. Do you see that for a second? They leave the ground, and it goes airborne, man. And so I think probably Aaron was buying time for his son to get away if his son followed him, or he was trying to film this thing that was about to kill him, because he turned around there right at the last. Now, this everybody could say this was set up because he turned around and the mouth was all of a sudden there. To me, that is a real hard one to believe, that the mouth was actually captured by the camera. But if you think for a minute, if he's running and this thing is coming from behind to his right, and he's turning around, then his right hand is going to have the camera in it if he's a right-handed man, and he's trying to find it and film it because he wants evidence that this thing exists. That's what he's trying to prove. He probably told people about it, and they laughed at him, and so he's trying to prove himself right. And so all of a sudden it caught him. He's turned around and it caught him, and he probably put his left arm up, and it just knocked the crap out of him, and things went flying, and there you got your camera on the ground, and it's all over, and it's a sad.
Well, I do know that those cameras, that camera when I saw it, because you can see it in that mirror, in that side mirror, when he's in the truck. That's the same camera that my parents used to own. Same Kodak 8mm camera, and you're right, they're trigger activated. You actually used your index finger to pull the trigger back to start shooting the film, because I used to play with my parents all the time.
Yeah. I think I've seen those things myself. Now, I had an 8mm, but it was different. It was a little bit newer than that, and actually a little bit nicer, more expensive. But that was older. Mine, I didn't get mine until the 80s, right there, right at the first of the 80s, I think. And but that one was a little bit older. And so the camera's laying on the ground now, and how much time do I got? Because I got to really rush to get all in what I got in. I got a whole page to go over on the next video. You still got a good 15 minutes. Okay, good. I got through the first one with 15 minutes. All right, let's go up to part 2. Part 2 came out, and I'm gonna just go ahead and say this because of the time factor. I believe the person that did part 2 is the one that released part 1, the first one. I think he had both films. You know, that's just my opinion. But
right.
it's as good an opinion as anybody else's, you know. So he's got both films, and I think he was the actual guy that went to investigate. Now, this was covered up because, I mean, this is a big deal. Think about this. What happened to this guy, you know? And they found this giant footprint. I mean, there's paper written right there. But let's say they staged it, all right? If they staged all this stuff, then let's find these people that did, send them to Hollywood because I want to see some good films, you know? I'm tired of these stupid films coming out. And this guy made something great. He captured the whole essence of the late 70s. I lived back then, you know. You lived back then. We know.
Right.
I think you lived back then. How old are you?
Yeah. I've got a little age.
Okay.
I mean, I was born in '69, so yeah, I was a kid.
Yeah. Okay. But anyways, he captured the essence of the era, and for a filmmaker to do that, oh man, come on! I mean, you're up there with the George Lucases and all the other greats, and so these guys, if they hoax these things, we really need to find out who they are because this is great stuff. But anyways, the second film, we see the truck sitting there, and you can verify it's the same truck by the mirror. The grill in the front, the car in back is an old Oldsmobile. It's probably about an 74, and it's a little bit older, so it's of the same time frame there, and it's made the film more authentic. Now, of course, you can go find that, but again, you're going to pay for that truck. That truck ain't going to come cheap because it's an antique, you know, and it wasn't in bad shape, so somebody's going to pay for that truck. And that Oldsmobile, you can probably get it cheap, so it might have been an easy find. Excuse me. And so he comes over and he looks at this police officer who looks as authentic as anything I've ever seen. I mean, I'd love to know where they got this uniform at. I mean, did they have a time machine and travel back in time? You know, because they had some real looking stuff.
Right.
And the amateur way that the officer was writing out, you know, vicious dog attack Aaron Gable, you know, and take 1 or whatever, take 2.
Right.
And all that. It just was really a slipshod investigation. But I think that was probably intended anyways if there was going to be a cover-up by the DNR up in Michigan. And so, you know, we could expect a slipshod investigation of it. Now, then he walks back in the woods, and he goes way back, and you see a second police officer back there without a hat. Now, I thought it was just a local that was helping out, but you can see he's an actual police officer there just for a second, but you can see it. And they walk back to this thing covered up, and then they pull the tarp back. And here's where I'm going to get people mad at me, or they're going to say, you know, that's really a servant cliff. I like that because something I'm about to say. And all right, they pull that tarp back, and we have all the entrails there. And one of the criticisms of this film is there was not enough blood around that torso. And I agree. I agree 100%. There's not. We got more blood in the body than that. Hang on a minute. And but let's just think about that torso for a minute. We'll address the blood issue later.
All right.
Now, the tarp's being pulled back, and one thing that I noticed, which is I'd like for folks to look at when they view this film again, is his left hand coming up around his head. There's something wrong with that hand. I can't tell you what it is. It's missing a finger, for one thing. Are you there? What was that?
Yep, I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you there?
Okay. I don't know what happened. I heard some kind of click, and then I heard all clear, and then it came back.
I was on mute. It wasn't me.
Yeah, I heard a big buzz.
It wasn't me.
Oh, wow. Okay, so just look at the hand, and I think it's missing a finger, and I think it's deformed looking, but you can't tell because they cover it back up. I think it's a little bit out of line with the body, but and the reason for that is I believe this creature drugged this thing by its arm, drugged Aaron by its arm, and if they were to turn that body over, we probably would have seen a throat torn out. I think.
Right.
But it's laying there, and I've heard criticism, or I've read criticism that somebody's standing in a hole when all they did was dress it up. I don't see how that's possible. There's just not enough room for you to get there and bend over, being that size of a man. I don't see it possible. But, that's me. Now, this is a piece that you get to look at the torso and the entrails and all that's blood and the gore of it, and it's a shame that this man is like this and being viewed by thousands and hundreds of thousands of people probably. But I think that he himself has finally had his day of proving something. So I think, and that's why I put the video on my APRO website, and I said in memory of Aaron Gable, his son. And let's remember the danger. And I think that we better, because this is an eye-opening video for all of us that do this research. These fellows in the woods, some of them are really mean, and they get pissed off fast. But the torso is laying there. Now, when you look at the entrails, and this is what I'm either going to be laughed at or I'm going to be criticized or cut up, but I'm going to say it anyways. Then this is the reason he's a male. It's Aaron Gable, is because there's a penis there. All right? I don't know if you've seen that or not. Have you noticed that?
I will be completely honest with you, Cliff. I have seen the first film. I have not seen the second.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm being completely. I honestly didn't know there was a second, so I've actually missed out on that.
Oh man! All right, well, you get to do all this stuff having already heard about it then, but there is, and there's two or three frames of it very clear, and of course, if you know the physiology or the whatever we call this of our male body, that's attached to the insides, So for it to be there is not something it's impossible. I think it's probably more possible than it isn't, and probable that it would still be attached. And now that makes you think, well, how in the world did he get cut in half? I mean, it looks like it was just sawed right in half. Well, okay, we're talking about a creature that's stronger than the great ape. And the great ape, it's on record that the great ape can lift 4,750 pounds. All right? And it's smaller. It's smaller than these creatures. Okay? If this thing wanted to tear me in half at 350 pounds that I have, it would be able to do it. So I don't have any questions that it just twisted and turned him in half. It could have stepped on his back, picked up its legs, and just split him like a pretzel. Okay? Right. And that to me is probably more of what happened, except for the fact that being blood possibilities on its foot, why isn't it on the shirt? So you have some skepticism there. So, but anyways, I believe if you look close, you stop frame it, you look close, and you're going to see that was a man. It was Aaron Gable. And as far as the hair looking different, I believe Aaron got his hair cut because it was really straight there. It was trimmed up. In the wood chopping section, it wasn't as straight, and it didn't look the same color at first. But there's one time when it turns to the light that it's the exact same color, and it's fast, but you can see it's the exact same color as this man laying down there. So now let's leave that real quick, and we're walking over to the camera. And two things on this real quick, and I'll be shutting up. We walk up to the camera, and he said, this photographer's taking a film of the camera, and when he's walking up there, I want you folks, when you look at this film again, to notice a discoloration between grasses. Around the camera, it's green grass. Outside of the camera, there's a discoloration that looks brown. It actually looks at the top, to the right at the top of the camera. It looks a wide brown, and then it gets more narrow as it comes around the camera. Now, I think that is all the blood, okay, the discoloration. That's where the incident took place, and he was drugged from there, bleeding from his jugulars because there's no throat left, all the way up to the other place. And there's what blood is there up at the torso is believable because that's all that's left, and it's bleeding out. Now, the camera was really interesting to me because let's go back to the first film. It fell. It saw something. Do you remember what it saw?
The what now? You broke up right when you said that.
Oh, I'm sorry. The camera saw something when it was lying there before it went off. Do you remember what it saw?
No, I do not.
Okay. It saw weeds. Okay. Weeds. What kind of weeds did it see? I know what it saw because I eat these weeds. All right? I'm eating these weeds to try to heal my body from some of the problems it has. All right? It saw a dandelion sprout.
Okay.
All right? Now, if you look close, it's coming out to the right, and you can see the jagged dandelion leaves there. And I believe there's even the remains of the stem of the flower and all that there. But I believe that's a dandelion sprout because I eat dandelions, and I look for them. I pick them. I go out into people's yards and ask them, can I pick your dandelions? And they look like, yeah, man, pick them all, you know?
Right,
So,
right.
But dandelions are a good, healthy food to eat. They're bitter, but they're good for your body, and so I do that. Now, go back to the second film. In the second film, I already explained about the discoloration of the grass from the green to the brown. The camera is not looking at any weeds.
Right.
Okay? Now, so you look at that camera right away and you say, well, it's fake. It's not looking at any weeds. There's nothing in front of it. But you look closer, and there's a dandelion sprout right there by the handle of the camera. It's, but there is a dandelion sprout there. What happened to the camera? Well, did the policeman pick it up and put it back down? You know, am I breaking up?
No, I hear you.
Okay. I got a signal trying to break in on me. I think that's why I'm breaking up some. But anyways, that dandelion's right beside the handle, toward the bottom of the handle, and the camera's lens is pointed away from it in the second video. So somebody would look at that if they were a good investigator, and they'd say, well, it's not in the same place. And I would agree with them. It's not. So why is it out of place? The policeman might have moved it. It's a very good possibility back then because they were not, don't do anything. There wasn't the investigating that went on. They just went ahead and picked everything up. So that's a good possibility. But what I think happened, if you follow the trail of the brown grass, then you'll see that brown grass actually came real close to that camera, and I believe the body bumped the camera and knocked it away from that dandelion bush. So those are my observations.
Well, I'm going to have to watch. I am going to have to watch the second film because, see, I never knew there was a second film. So I've never seen the entrails and stuff that you're talking about. I've never seen that portion of the film.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But
it's just called, you Google Gable Film Part 2, and you'll go right to it.
Okay. Well, I'll do that after we get off the show because now I want to see it. So.
All right.
Didn't even know it existed. So. Eric, did you have questions over there in the chat room? As soon as I get him away from his dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I do have a question from Bill Green. He wants to know, Cliff, if you've been down to the Boggy Creek Sulphur River bottoms.
In Arkansas?
Yeah, the
Yep.
Texarkana area.
No, I haven't. But boy, I sure am interested in going down there. We went out to New Mexico for vacation this year, and I was thinking about that as we went through Arkansas, and I would love to see that, but I know I have not been down there.
I'd like to get down there myself. I've always wanted to visit it ever since being a young kid watching The Legend of Boggy Creek. So,
Yeah.
You know.
I've seen that, but I can't remember it too well.
Oh, I remember it real well.
I'm gonna have to get it and watch it again.
Yeah, it's a good one. I'm gonna try to get my hands on it too and show my son's girlfriends the movie so it can scare them real good.
There you go.
They'll never go in the bathroom by themselves again.
Yeah.
Right. Have a big old hairy arm come and grab off the toilet, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my wife thinks I'm nuts for these things. That's for sure. She saw one and she's pretty much a believer in them. She doesn't like the fact that they're there, and she doesn't like the fact that I like to go look for them. But you know.
Well, I'm gonna tell y'all a funny story now.
All right.
Speaking about your wife, reminded me of something. You know, your wife had a sighting. Funny thing is I believe my wife has had a sighting, but she can't bring herself to admit that she's seen what she saw. And what I mean is, she was in West Virginia, is where her grandparents were at, and she was staying with her grandparents. They were up in a second story bedroom, and her and her brother was looking out of the second story window out of this bedroom towards the garden one morning when they had gotten up. Well, they see what they call bear, a bear eating out of the garden. She said, but the strange thing is the bear was standing up and grabbing the tomatoes off the plants. So I told her, I said, well, hon, bears don't typically stand up and pick tomatoes off the plant. And I said, really, the only time a bear will stand up is if it's either reaching for something, looking at something, or trying to intimidate somebody.
Yeah.
You know. And she said, well, you know, we always did think it looked funny, you know, and so I'm pretty convinced that she saw one, and that particular area of West Virginia has had a lot of sightings anyway, down towards the Beckley area down that way. So, you know, it's pretty funny. But she, you know, her, as far as she's concerned, her exact words to me is, I could care less if it exists. She doesn't think it's a big deal that we have another thing that walks around on 2 feet existing. But
yeah, a lot of ladies are like that. They're more interested in taking care of the family, you know, and all that other good stuff they do, you know.
Right. No, JC, she didn't see me. I didn't know her at that time, and I wasn't running around naked picking tomatoes out of the tomato plants in West Virginia.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, all right. Well, we've got about a minute left of the show. Eric, was there any other questions that came across?
Nope, didn't see anything.
All right. Well, I apologize. I didn't let you get on too much there, Eric. Of course, there wasn't too many questions tonight.
I'm here to listen to the guest. You know, Cliff was a great guest.
Yep.
Thank you,
Cliff. We really enjoyed hearing your information. I always enjoy hearing people's thoughts and opinions on, like the Gable film, for example. I think it's always great to know what other people think about certain things and theories and things like that. So we really appreciate you telling us that.
Okay.
So.
Well, I would tell Eric to write my phone number down off the switchboard and give me a call.
All right. What I'll do is I'll copy. You're not on the switchboard, are you, Eric?
No, I'm calling in from Skype.
What I'll do is I'll copy down your number.
All right.
I'll copy down your number and I'll give it to him, Cliff.
Okay.
So as soon as I get off the phone with you, I'll give him your number.
All righty, man. I appreciate it.
And he'll be all set. So thanks a lot, Cliff. We appreciate it.
All right.
And you have a great evening.
Hey, you too, Billy, and thanks for letting me get on.
Oh, you are very welcome.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, folks, that wraps up another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. We will have another great guest next week, but I'm not going to reveal it this time. But
it's me.
It will. It'll be a good one. So anyway, we're pretty much off live at this point. Eric, thanks for coming in here and helping me, even though I didn't let you get on too awful much.
Oh, that's,
I tell you, Cliff,
it's not a big deal.
Cliff was a good. I mean, he was really good. Most people can't talk for that long. I know I can't.
Yeah, he's really taken an interest in the Gable film, and it's pretty interesting hearing him talk about it.
Now, have you seen the second part?
Yes, I have. I don't know what to make of it.
I haven't seen it. I don't know how I missed it, but I haven't seen the second part. Huh. I'm gonna have to check that out now.
It's pretty graphic. The guy laying on the ground and the police officer standing next to him. It could be a special effect. I mean, with Hollywood being the way it is, and it's so easily accessible. But you'll have to see it to get a good appreciation for it.
So I guess that second part then gives the assumption that the guy that was shooting the footage of the thing coming towards him basically got tore up.
Well, if you want to look at it that way, yeah, it kind of makes you think, it's like the hidden Blair Witch Project video, Right. You don't know what to make of it. It could be something else. I don't know. Right.
I mean, I can see Cliff's point, where he was talking about, how, you see the older model truck. I guess apparently you can tell that they're wearing, kind of clothing, I guess, that was in style at that time, stuff like that. I guess someone would have to go to quite a bit of trouble to do all that, but don't put anything past Hollywood. I do have to admit. I mean, they can do some things that are quite shocking. I mean, they can make movies nowadays. I can't remember what movie it was I was watching the other day. I mean, but they had good examples. Look, Back to the Future. Look at all them old cars and the old, soda fountain shops and all the stuff that they had in that movie. I mean, they completely transformed that town to back in that era. So, it's easier done when you're just, you got one truck and just a couple people with some clothes on. It's pretty easy to do, I guess. But
anything's possible anymore. You have to
I know.
You have to be a little suspicious of everything.
Right. Well, we have to be that way. I mean, unfortunately. But anyway, it was a good show. I appreciate Cliff being on, and hopefully he'll come back one day if we get him back on. And Eric, I haven't had an opportunity to listen to a lot of your shows. The one show that I did listen to, though, I enjoyed, and I'm sure you're doing a great job on it. Is everything working out for you real good on there?
Well, so far things are going pretty well. We've had some technical problems with the show and with Skype. Skype seems to be our biggest downfall right now, but we're working through the bugs, and once we get through them, and I think we're going to have a really good show, and we're starting to get guests and more sponsors, and we're growing by leaps and bounds, so it's pretty exciting time.
Very good. Go ahead and give everybody a plug and tell them how to find your show and when it's on.
Oh, okay, thanks. We're on Sunday nights, 9:30 to 11:30 p.m. Eastern, me and Fork Chop, Sean Forker. And you can hear it in several different places. You can catch us live on Dark Plains Radio Network, which is www.darkplainsradio.com, or on Jackalope 105 FM, which is www.jackalope105fm.com. Very cool. All right, Eric. Well, again, thank you for the late notice coming on as the co-host. I appreciate it. Oh, my pleasure, Billy. Thanks for asking. And hey, anytime you need help, I'm always here to be your chat room bitch. I need somebody to keep JC under control. JC and the creature seeker Bruce.
Yeah, definitely. All you have to do is throw a steak out there, and you pretty much keep him under control.
And a chocolate pie.
And chocolate pie. That's right. Well, of course, if you don't give it to him, he'll steal it. He'll come through the window and steal it, so it doesn't matter.
That's about it, Billy. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, but it's always a good
All right.
time.
Thanks a lot, Eric. And thanks, everyone, for listening tonight. And we'll see everybody next Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Good night.
A legend silently stalks the forest around the world, leaving giant man-like footprints in its wake. Skeptics scoff, while the true believers search for the answers, and those who have seen it will never forget. Monday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, Blog Talk Radio. Billy Willard and the Blog Squatcher present Sasquatch Watch Radio. Your hosts Billy Willard and Dee Donlin bring you 60 minutes of the latest news and information, newly discovered evidence, and interviews with those searching for the truth and those who have seen it. Do you believe? Want to know the truth? It's out there waiting. Monday nights, 9 p.m. Blog Talk Radio. Sasquatch Watch Radio. Sit down, hold on tight, get ready, because it is about to go down. blogtalkradio.com/Sasquatch Watch Radio.
There's more to your story. More pages, new chapters. You can feel it. And now you're ready to grow. Laurel Ridge Community College is ready for you. Your real-world experience gives you an important head start. And with training, degrees, and certificates for the careers that are most in demand, you can do more, earn more, and advance more. Turn the page and start your story. Grow with us at Laurel Ridge. Visit laurelridge.edu/pathways.
We made USAA insurance for veterans like James. When he found out how much USAA was helping members save, he said,
"It's time to switch.
We'll help you find the right coverage at the right price. USAA. What you're made of, we're made for. Restrictions apply.